cylinder numbers here on the van are different orientations. Actually, here's all three of them. The 3.3, whatever. The 3.7, and there's the 4.0. The 3.3 uses the 6-pack coil, which is the waste fire. 3.7, you coil over plug. So we got one coil for each cylinder. The 4-liter, if you have the coil log, is a waste fire. All they did was stretched out the 6-pack to make it look cool on the 4-liter. Why they did that? It's a pain in the ass. It gets wet. It shorts out. It's stupid. Just do the mod. Make life easy. Get the van coil. They're calling it the Viper mod. Yeah, the Viper coil. The 6-pack coil off the Viper. Yeah, it'll work. It's basically the same coil. The pinout's slightly different. That's why they can't say you can use it, because in the 3.7, I get into the ignition system here and how these coils fire. Basically, the van and the Jeep, coil 1, 2, 3, fire 1, 2, 3. And the 3.7s that I seen was the coil numbers. Why they flipped it, I don't know. Somebody was smoking crack that day or dyslexic. The coils fire 1, 3, 2. And I'll explain what the hell's going on here with that definition. But that's why when you look at the van coil pack, the numbers are different. Because the first coil fires 2 times for those 2 particular cylinders, and then the second coil fires for its 2 particular cylinders, and then the third coil fires, for them 2 cylinders. But in 3.7, they decided, yeah, we're going to make things difficult. Fuck people up, hold my beer and watch this. So they did is the first coil is labeled coil 1. It always fires first, no matter what pattern here is. Number 1 in the computer language is coil 1, and it's the first coil, the fire in the firing pattern, firing order, whatever. The 3.7, they decided the second coil, the fire in the firing order, should be coil 3 instead of coil 2. But the 3.3 and the 4.0, you plug the 3.3 computer into the 4.0, the ignition timing and the firing order will work. The only thing is you got to switch the injectors around, because the injectors, even though the firing order on the 3.3 and the 3.8 will fire the engine at the proper time, the injectors are all over the place, firing into closed valves, firing into open valves. It'll run. It'll get you off the trail. I mean, if you just want to buy one of these 3.3 computers and not do any of the wiring or any of the horse shit, yeah, it'll get you off the trail. It's going to have a lot of power. No, it's going to act like, dog dick. But it's going to get you out of there. You're going to run regardless. Because I actually ran mine for a couple weeks trying to figure out exactly what the hell was going on, and then it hit me about, cylinder 1, cylinder 3, cylinder 4, injectors are swapped. And I'll get into that a little bit. But key things with the 3.3 computer, there's no option on here unless it was in the van's BCM for the overdrive. So your 42 RLE is going to stay in overdrive regardless, and you can't switch it on and off. The fuel gauges aren't going to work. The van used the 3-wire oil pressure sensor, so as soon as you start it, your oil pressure is going to peg. You can get around all this if you want to switch the dash and do all that horse shit and blah, 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 but the 05 and 06, which is what I'm primarily focusing on here. I mean, you could try this in other years. It might work. I don't know. Same principle. This is a magic box that'll run a 6-cylinder. It wants to see the proper cam and crank sensors. It wants to see some oxygen sensor data, a key on, your ASD relay output, and at the other end of this thing, it's a fucking gas-powered engine. It takes air in, spits air out, makes fire, makes flame. It's not changed in 100 years. All they did was try to make something so simple, so complicated, to save fishes and tadpoles. I mean, there's nothing wrong with helping the environment, but come on. If you started out with something that actually ran proper, you wouldn't have to do a cover-up. But I'm going to cut this quick thing off here. I'm going to get into these notes and try to explain the firing orders. The simplest thing would be the 3.3 to 3.8 computers. Very little changes. This 3.7 computer, you get into adding sensors that just weren't there in the 4L. And there's a little bit of trouble and, hair pulling that goes along with that, but it's doable. That's what I'm running right now on my Jeep. It's an 06 4-liter. This original computer here was out of the Dodge. I'll get into it. All right, I'm going to cut this off here and take a break.